It is 6 o'clock on Monday, March 4th, 2024. I'm calling to order the Rutland Select Board meeting. We're meeting in the lower level of the Rutland Public Library. We are on Zoom for participation. We are also being live aired on Local Access as well as recorded for re-airing on Local Access and YouTube and all of the other good stuff. Let's stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If it's okay, we have the chief here and it should be fairly quick, so I was wondering if we could go into executive session for reason number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, for final review of collective bargaining agreement for Sargent's Union, which is effective July 1, 2024, to return to open session.
So I'm sorry, you need a motion?
Yeah.
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any conversation? Roll call, Paul?
Pardon me, aye.
Galvin, aye.
Whitman, aye. Okay, we are back in open session. It is 6:09 PM. Thank you for your patience. I should have said at the start of the meeting, we're 3 members here tonight, Paul, myself, and Tom. Currently, no one is on Zoom. If that changes, we'll try to update accordingly. We will move into our regular scheduled meeting. We have approval of treasury warrant, minutes, treasury warrant, and payroll. So I would look for a motion to approve treasury warrant.
We were all here.
This is just for treasury warrant and
Okay,
payroll.
yeah. Make a motion to approve treasury warrant 24-18 and payroll 24-PW 18.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Austin, anything of note?
Just on the treasurer collector salary line item, obviously we did not plan for Becky's retirement, but this does include her payout of her accrued vacation time and sick incentive time.
Thank you. Anyone have questions or comments or concerns? Hearing none, roll call, Paul.
Mattson, aye.
Galvin, aye.
Whitman, aye. And then we have approval of meeting minutes February 12th, which was our budget meeting.
I don't know if I was at that one.
I think that was the one, those were the ones that we held. I think we're gonna have to hold them again because it was only Harry, Paul, and I that were able to attend because the Zoom audio wasn't working.
Oh, that's
So I
right,
think
yeah.
if you don't mind holding them again, sorry. And then we have approval of the February 20th open meeting. Everyone except Harry was here for those. And yeah, we'll do the regular and then the exec second.
Make a motion to approve open meeting minutes for February 20th, 2024.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any conversation about the minutes? Thank you, Tamika. Hearing none, roll call, Paul.
Mattson, aye.
Galvin, aye.
Whitman, aye. And then I would look for approval of the executive session meeting minutes from February 20th not to be released at this time.
Make a motion to approve executive session meeting minutes for February 20th, 2024, not to be released to the public at this time.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second motion.
Motion and a second, any conversation? Thank you, Tamika. Hearing none, roll call, Paul.
Mattson, aye.
Galvin, aye.
Whitman, aye. Moving into member comments and announcements, I just want to take a couple minutes, remind everyone that tomorrow is an election day, it's state primary day. Polls are open here in town from 7 AM to 8 PM. There's sample ballots posted. It's the presidential primary. And there are some state committee, Republican and Democratic committee spots as well. So please get out and vote, 7 AM to 8 PM. 2 polling locations are at Naquag. I think precincts 1 and 3, and number 2 is here in the basement of the library. If you're not sure, you can go online and look, or stop up and the election workers will kindly direct you. Last week, we had the retirement of our treasurer collector Becky Tuttle. We wish her well as we watch her head south.
She's already gone.
I know. Maybe she can send keep the warm weather coming up. And we had a swearing in of some additional public safety officers, our lieutenant for the police department, Lieutenant Dan, and our deputy fire chief, Ryan, were sworn in, as well as some promotions and new employees. So I wanna thank everyone that came out for that, and just reiterate kind of thanking our employees and our staff, as well as the families, because it's a big commitment for everyone. So thank you, and thank you to the chiefs for acknowledging that. This week on Thursday night, there will be an introduction to Community Preservation Act led by Agricultural Commission. That's 6 o'clock here in the lower level of the Rutland Public Library. It's an introduction to the various boards and commissions in town, and the public is more than welcome to attend as well. And that's just an introduction to kind of get the word out and some feelers out, I believe. So looking forward, we're in March already. It's hard to believe. I can't believe we're there already. The weather is warm. I think the ice rink came down yesterday. So basketball can get back to basketballing. And thank you for the patience there. I think the ice rink was a huge success this winter, a short season, but I think it was well lived. So thank you. So we'll keep plugging along. We do have some ongoing budget conversations, so pay attention to the website. The budget book is online for anyone that's interested. FinCom will continue to have some meetings. I think the meeting with the school districts, Wachusett and Bay Path both, is the 14th. Here in the library as well, so keep an eye online if it's of interest to you. Anything else?
The local elections, is it the 16th, the deadline?
25th.
Oh, 25th,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, March 25th is the deadline to return your papers for that's a local municipal election. Yep, and there's a number of seats open, so if you're interested in getting involved, there's information on the website. Reach out to anyone. Stop in and see Anita and Ben in the town clerk's office. Yeah, thank you for that. Anything else? Is there anyone here for public comment? Okay, we'll go into the town administrator's update.
Good evening, Madam Chair, or good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Want to reiterate some of the comments from Leah. Want to thank the police and fire departments for inviting me to participate in the swearing-in ceremony for some of the new employees for public safety departments. This is my second time participating in it, first time as town administrator. I don't even think I was on the job in the last one. I think it's a great opportunity to meet some of the new folks and their families. And I think it's an overall great ceremony for them to also be introduced to the town. I know a lot of them have been on the job for a couple months already, but just want to appreciate the participation and invite to that. This morning, you may have seen on town website and social media, we shared the announcement for the 2024 Outstanding Town Employee of the Year Award. This is a select board goal to recognize town staff and improve morale. This was based off of some other communities in Massachusetts, some of the criteria. town employees can be nominated by members of town staff for the public. And there's some criteria that's included in your packet in my report, like demonstrating strong leadership and level of commitment to the town, outstanding customer service, innovative ideas or creative solutions, contributions to the success of projects, donating significant time to the Rutland community. The goal is to receive nominations by Friday, March 22nd. The nomination form can be found either filled out from an online form or printed offline from the town website, or you can come to town hall and we'll print one off for you. And we will select 2 employees to be presented and awarded at the annual town meeting, 1 from general government and 1 from public safety. I'm excited to introduce this process and to highlight some of my colleagues. And they do a lot of good work, so they deserve all the appreciation that they can get. On the personnel side, we are actively recruiting for a DPW skilled laborer, DPW water operator 2 with the promotion of Michael Mead to the chief water operator position, and treasurer collector. On budget and finance, we are working with our independent auditor, Roselli and Clark Associates. They are working to complete the FY23 audit, and because we spent more than $750,000 of federal money, which is a good thing, we're also required to conduct a single audit. We anticipate that draft audit to be completed over the next few weeks, and we'll get the management letter and financial statements to present to the board as well. As everyone may have seen, the school district presented their FY25 preliminary budget. The proposed assessment for Rutland is 7.42% increase over our FY24 appropriated amounts. We're obviously still working through that process with the FinCom and the school district. On Thursday, there'll be a public hearing and special school committee meeting at Wachusett High School to talk about the budget. If the budget does not pass on Thursday, there'll be another meeting on March 12th for the school committee. And as Leah mentioned, we'll also have a budget presentation to the select board and FinCom here on Thursday, March 14th.
Can I just interject? If anyone's interested, any of the public is interested in seeing any of the meetings or watching the presentation of the budget last Thursday night, everything's available on Holden's Local Access. They have an education channel and you can go and look for re-aired meetings. And I think cable here tries to re-air a number of them, but I'm not 100% sure that they're all always on demand. The on demand is definitely available through Holden's Local Access.
As mentioned in my budget, my update 2 weeks ago, we are out to bid for the public safety facility and library roof repairs. Bid opening is scheduled for next Thursday the 14th, hoping for some good news on that project. We've appropriated some monies from ARPA to complete that project. Director Kolofsky and I attended a meeting last Friday with MassDOT. Marias and CHA Associates are designed for the TIP project to identify a potential solution to the intersection of Miles and Palmagussit. As folks have kind of seen, especially over the winter, it's a tight intersection. Some of the turns aren't as easy, especially for the larger truck traffic. They've agreed to modify the intersection slightly to open it up a little bit to allow for trucks to be able to go through much easier. The good thing about the intersection right now is unlike the previous intersection, you can't kind of fly down there, so it does try to slow people down. But you know, especially in bad weather, stopping on a hill trying to take a left or a right isn't always easy. I'm guilty of it. I slid right past the intersection in a snowstorm. So they'll be opening that up and coming up with a new design to make that a little bit easier intersection to navigate. And that will also include, because they'll be opening up a little bit, they'll be moving the fire hydrant slightly, maybe 4 or 5 feet closer to the telephone pole. And we will see a design from CHA when that comes. Some upcoming discussion points. What's included in your packet is a proposed draft set of personnel policies and employee handbook. It's quite the read. It's 116 pages. Some of this is actually just codifying actual practice right now. There are some new policies that are proposed, like use of a town vehicle, reimbursement processes, performance reviews, reclassification, there's a lot there. Figure we will present this to you tonight just for you to be able to absorb, and we'll have an in-depth discussion at your next meeting. We'll also invite our Human Resources Coordinator, Allison Mitchell, to participate and go over this with you. There's a lot of good stuff in here, again, just kind of codifying what we have already, and it does introduce some new things as well. But this will be our very first employee handbook and a comprehensive set of policies for the town to consider. And this will apply obviously to all town employees. I wanna just mention to the board, we originally intended to have the stormwater rate setting discussion tonight. After talking a little bit more, I know I sent a memo out to you folks already. We're asking to defer that discussion to the next meeting. Public Works and Treasurer Collector's Office just wants to review that briefly one more time to make sure that everything's in place before you set the rate. And then just one thing, as an upcoming discussion point, but I wanna see if there's some sort of consensus from the members tonight. We have an obligation to, quote unquote, obligate 100% of our ARPA funds by the end of this calendar year. Now, as I mentioned in the previous update, obligation means it's spent, a contract is signed, or a purchase order is created and signed. After discussing a little bit with the finance team, our auditors, this may sound like a little bit of an interesting discussion, but I will be proposing to utilize the remaining unspent funds on our next school assessment for this fiscal year. Now, what does that mean? When you create or when you utilize something like ARPA to pay for a general fund expense, that means we have unspent general fund monies. That would mean free cash at the end of the year. By doing so, we would not have any reporting requirements or any obligation requirements. The money would be spent and obligated in the eyes of the federal government. And it also allows us, frees up approximately $700,000 of free cash that we can control the spending. And it goes back to the people to be appropriated at a future town meeting. This was a discussion that was had with our auditors and finance team. They're comfortable with it. Obviously, that's a board decision to make. Wanted to see if there's any thoughts on that before I actually present that. If you think it's crazy, I'll come up with a new idea. But something as we're kind of looking, and December 31st is gonna come very quickly. I believe that this is a prudent use of the funds, and again, would allow us for some additional flexibility and would convert that into free cash, which is our money at the end of the year. Happy to answer any questions on anything, and then if there's any discussion or consensus that you may have on what I just talked about with ARPA, happy to answer questions on that as well.
Paul, Tom, go ahead.
No, awesome.
So, thank you, Austin. I think it was a comprehensive update and I appreciate the time and work. I am excited about the employee of the year award. I think I know that was one of our goals in continuing kind of how to continue to improve and maintain employee morale, and so I think that that's a really good first step. Thank you for taking that on. I appreciate it. I think the Watchers of Budget discussion is an interesting one and is going to have to continue. It's a tough one for sure, so we'll have to keep on that. And thank you for keeping an eye on the TIP project. I know there's been some feedback about the Miles Road stuff, and so I think having eyes on that I just would ask if we can also keep an eye on the drainage concerns. I think a lot of that will be addressed when the top coats and everything are installed, but I know that those are the other kind of ongoing concerns that we hear from residents. So if there's anything that in the slight redesign of the intersection can help address some of that immediately, and not have a long-term negative impact, if we can look towards that. The employee handbook and personnel policies, I think, is huge. I think that's something that the town's needed for a long time. And I think having an HR coordinator on to kind of ensure that we're following these is gonna be great also. So I'd really like to encourage the board. I think we have the outstanding financial policies also. FinCom is reviewing them. Also, so if we can kind of get through the financial policies as well as the employee handbook, we do have some additional policies that we need to work through based on the bylaws, pending the AG's approval of those. So we'll need to continue working on policies. So this isn't it, guys. We have a lot more coming. And then for ARPA, I think it's a thoughtful use of the funds, and I appreciate that the opportunity for it to end up defaulting to free cash or increasing free cash, that then the entire legislative body has a say in the use, and not only currently it's been the select board with some feedback from other boards and commissions. But it's a different use than what I think we had been looking at originally, and so I wanted to get feedback, Paul and Tom, from kind of where you guys are. I didn't feel comfortable pushing a vote on it tonight, given that we're a 3-member board tonight, and I really wanted to be able to have feedback from all 5 members.
Well, I guess, just to clarify it for me, so say, what'd you say, 700,000 roughly?
Might be a little more, but
Might be a little
700.
more, and what would we wind up putting towards the schools anyways, number, roughly?
3.8 million.
Okay, so to put a little dent in, not crazy, but
Yeah.
this is basically just taking the feds out of it in the sense that
Yeah.
kind of puts the power of the money back in the town
Yep,
and not the federal government.
correct.
That's basically it. So we're spending it one way or the other, it's just a matter of,
Right now, 5 people have the decision to spend that money.
right,
This would bring it to town meeting.
it will go to the town, yeah, okay.
Paul, any thoughts?
Outside?
So, I mean, I think, I don't know, Tom or Paul, how you're kind of, I know it's a new thought for us. I think in some ways, realizing how quickly that December deadline is coming and the amount of work that it takes to get that money properly allocated in the sense of projects, that this is a good way and gives the town, the legislative body, that control.
Yeah, it puts the power back in the town's hand, which is good. That way nobody can say this guy's doing his project and not that project.
Right.
Let the town vote. If the town wants it, they can vote for it.
Exactly.
So it sounds like it's definitely a positive consideration. We are only 3 of us here, so, and we're obviously not taking a vote, but just to get a sense as to if anybody had any questions or immediate concerns about it. And then once we have a 5-member board,
Yeah.
we can move forward.
Just, I'll tell you about that. I was just saying, I don't think I can make the next meeting. so-
Yeah. And I know we had talked about,
Yeah.
if we could do it at the, get you on Zoom for the beginning of that,
Yeah.
the tail end or
Yep.
something, so, yep. Cause that's something I do feel strongly about having
Yeah, absolutely.
all
Should
5
be
of us
five,
for,
absolutely.
so. Any other questions or comments or anything about Austin's report?
Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Moving into old business, we don't have any. Moving into new business, if possible, I would like to come out to ratify, to vote to sign and approve our collective bargaining agreement for the Sergeants Union. That was the beginning of our executive session. So if we could have a motion to approve and sign the collective bargaining agreement for the Sergeants Union as presented.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the Rutland Police Sergeants Union Collective Bargaining Agreement as written, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any conversation among the board? Hearing none, roll call.
Mattson, aye.
Galvin I.
Whitman, aye. Thank you.
Thanks, chief.
See you, chief.
Thank you. We have received, I believe, 11 nominations for the 2023 Moses Howe Award. We had put out a call for this is the kind of community members, either employees and or residents who've made a big impact in kind of community service and public outreach to the town in the year 2023. We're in receipt of, as I mentioned, 11. They are Eric Helly, Elizabeth or Liz DeFoss, Justin Bassett, Nancy Nichols, and Kenneth Ken Lowe. We had a variety of nominations. A few had one had two, and one had 6. In the past, the boards have kind of been all over the place as to how they've chosen their nominee. It sometimes has been solely based on the number of nominations. Sometimes it's been more so based on the board's consensus as to the impact of the nominees. I don't know if the board had wanted to have any conversation. Again, this is a 3-member board tonight, so I think we can take this vote. I didn't know if,
I mean, as far as, cause these are always tough to vote on because they're all deserving. It's a, you know, everybody on this list is on this list for a reason. The only thing I would say is I don't really have a personal knowledge. I know Nancy Nichols a little from dealing with the senior center. Justin Bassett works for the fire department. I don't know the gentleman, Eric, is it Helly? Helly?
Yeah.
I don't know that gentleman. And the late Kenneth Lowe, I have, the last year, heard so many great things about this gentleman. I've heard, I don't even know how else to say it other than that. I mean, every time I turn around, somebody has something nice to say. He donated his time. I think he was a selectman, right? Selectman in town. He was
FinCom, I
a big
think.
player in the Boy Scouts. He was, I mean, he had something to do with the Woo Sox too, didn't he? Something, I mean, he was all over the place. So it's hard to make these decisions, you know, but I don't know if,
I have to agree with that because I'm familiar on a first name basis with everybody on the list, so in other words, to pick up one, not a simple thing for me
No,
to
it's
do
not.
either.
I think it's not by any means a simple,
no, it's not. And everyone, like I said, it's a tough thing. I mean, I know who I'm willing to nominate. If you guys are comfortable taking a vote, I mean, you know, if Paul, if you have something to say specifically about somebody in particular, or,
Personally, yeah, I was thinking about Kenny Lowe, but I know that, you know,
yeah,
he did a lot for the town, was on the board, was on the fire department, was captain of the fire brigade, and did a lot of other things around town as well, so, you know. To me, this person is deserving, and it's a posthumous award for him, I realize that, but nevertheless, I still think it's worthy.
no, I agree.
and I think, I mean, I 100% agree. I think also our other 4 this year are town employees, which in the past we have had town employees. I think this is the first year that we've had such an overwhelming response of town employees. And with Austin kind of creating the town annual Employee of the Year award also, it provides an additional opportunity as all of these are current and or were employees throughout 2023. So
All right, I mean, I'll make a motion then to nominate Kenneth Lowe for the Moses Howe Award 2023.
Second the motion.
we have a motion and a second. Any other conversation? Hearing none, roll call, Paul.
Mattson, aye.
Galvin I.
Whitman, aye, with appreciation and thanks to everybody that was nominated as well as everyone that took time out to nominate, cause I know it's a time and effort for everyone to submit the nominations also, so thank you. And again, it's always a tough decision. We had a request from the Rutland Marketplace to consider seasonal liquor licenses. And so in doing some research, Tamika for us in our office realized that we didn't really have a process in place, and she reached out to the state to see what that process would look like. And so I think today, I would be looking to see if we're amenable to considering it and then working towards identifying the process, and then it would still have to follow the public hearing process and everything. So it wouldn't be a vote today that we would grant you a seasonal license, but it would be that we're willing to consider it and outline that process so that you can submit the material you need and we can make sure that the dates are set for what we need. So I think through the office, you had mentioned that you have had experience in previous businesses obtaining seasonal licenses. Is that,
Yes.
do you mind just introducing yourself? Sorry.
I'll let him do his mouth. So, we are brothers, and yeah, my brother owns a store in Westfield, Mass, and it was just like a convenience store with the grocery, beer, wine, deli, and then they applied for seasonal liquor, which is from April 1st through January 15th. And so we can offer customer, spirits with the wine and malt beverages. And it was approved by town. So basically we just made more shelves for liquor. And at the end of the season, we just package all in the boxes and put it away for a few months till we can sell it again.
Yes.
And it's just like selling beer, wine, and you basically ID anyone,
Yes.
who comes in to purchase any.
And it
Beer
definitely
wine,
helps with the revenue, with the way the sales are right now, us taking over and the construction hitting us next 7 days, it made a drastic difference to our revenue, and we're not on a great pace to being even caught up, where the other owner was, and it coming next year, like this summer as well, So we're just hoping we give a different category of selection to the people where it can help us.
And be a one-stop shop,
And one-stop shop,
Mhm.
because we have daily meats, we have everything, I think, for somebody to purchase. So that was just, me finding out through the town if there's something like that available in town of Rutland.
I don't know how the three of us feel. I think the boards over the past few years, the boards have been becoming more and more aware of local options when it comes to licensing liquor, and whether it's beer and wine or spirit or entire. So I appreciate you bringing it forward, because I think it's not something that until somebody is interested in that we have kind of heard or thought of. I know in the past, some of the considerations had been proximity of other full service
liquor store, yeah.
liquor stores, and there's none in the plaza or anything, because that was one of the other considerations I think previously, was that it was going to be a license in a plaza that already had a license or something.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. I think we should help local businesses as much as we can.
Yeah.
If the law says they can have it, I don't have any problem with it.
We can work. I know, oh, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know one of the big things that we hear a lot about, and we don't have a bylaw against it, and you probably know where I'm going, is the nips. And we get a lot of complaints because the nip
People
bottles
throw nips
are
everywhere, yeah,
are
yeah.
all over the place. There's no current, we have no mechanism in town, there's no bylaw or anything to prohibit that. But I would just ask that that's a very thoughtful consideration on your part moving forward, because that's one of the biggest, we've had before residents come in with 55, 65 gallon totes just filled with nips that they've picked up off of the street in front of their house. So
Actually, some towns in Massachusetts have laws that, they ban NIPS from selling, and we don't have problem with that. For us, it's just we are wants to add a category, and we want to offer small variety. I mean, we have so much to offer. We just want to add a category. So for us, it's not we don't want to be full line of liquor store. You know, it's just extra season business we can get from it. So if we we don't have to offer NIPS if it helps town.
And
we'll
like
just do whatever best for the community.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. Like I said, we don't have a bylaw. It's just, I wanted to put it out there because it is the biggest, we currently don't have a bylaw about it, but it is one of the biggest complaints as far as litter and everything goes for.
And some stores do sell it by the multi-pack,
Yep.
which that way they're not taking one at a time and drinking through it anywhere. That way they take it home and
Be more responsible with it.
responsible with it. Yeah.
So, it sounds like the board is amenable to moving forward and kind of outlining a process. I think Tamika did, thank you for all the work that you put in with the ABCC and MGL and everything to figure out what our responsibilities were. So I think I'm not 100% sure that based on the timing that it would be an absolute go for April 1st, but I think we can work towards trying to get it as close to the April 1st as available. Does that?
So, if I may, the process is, just for the public, is identical to a regular retail license. So we would still have to hold a public hearing, where we would notify abutters and it would be published in the newspaper. Once the local licensing authority, the select board, approves it, it then goes back to the ABCC and we essentially just wait for them to render their decision. So the only real decision that the select board would need to make in this process is what you would want to charge for a fee, because we currently don't have that in our fee schedule right now for seasonal license.
And can you remind me, what do we currently charge, 1 days versus the yearlies?
Yeah, so the yearly depends on the type of liquor license you have. A 1 day is $60.
And that can
then
really
it
only
varies,
be-
like in all beverages, like a liquor store is $1,000, and then it varies if it's on premise, off premise. It also depends, if you remember a couple of years ago, we updated the fee schedule so that depending on the time of year that you applied for your license, you didn't end up having to pay for a full year's worth if say you were approved in November of the calendar year. So it is, I don't know if you have quick access to it, but it's broken down in a table on the website.
Right. And
We do charge $200 for a liquor license transfer, which gives a little bit of a frame of reference. That was a new fee that the board established when we started getting a couple requests for license transfers.
So right now you have a beer and wine,
Beer
right?
wine, yeah, and our liquor, the beer wine license, we pay $750 annually.
Right, and if a liquor license incorporate all of them, right? It's not just
No, so this would be a separate license.
separate completely?
Yes, and I did confirm with the ABCC, this is a unique circumstance where they can have 2 liquor licenses on the same premises. So they would still have their annual beer and wine for $750. This would be a separate license that is operated from April 1st through January 15th of the following calendar year. But I will say that that is at the discretion of the board as to how late in the season you would like it to go. So it will always start on April 1st, but some communities say, through Labor Day, and then other communities just go the full through January 15th of the following calendar year.
and I think that this is kind of trying to set kind of almost like a policy for not just Rutland Marketplace, but kind of going forward,
Right, whatever the fee is for a
right.
liquor license, that's the fee.
right?
I mean, you can't
Yep.
change it from business to
Yeah,
business, so.
it's
Right.
same fees for,
Yeah, whatever it is,
and same thing, just like how the full liquor licenses are limited, this license I assume is probably limited too, and nobody has it in town, and if there is a availability, we would like to, be the first one to have it.
So I did pull up the fee schedule, Tamika, thank you, and kind of from for basically essentially a 6-month license, cause they run on the calendar year. These, the liquor licenses that we currently deal with run on the calendar year. Essentially for if they're a 6-month license, they're cut in half. And they range from $150 up to $500, that half price, which would be $300 to $1,000 for the full year. So I guess the first question is, would the board be amenable to it? It sounds like yes.
Yep.
And then the next questions would kind of be the length of time, so it can begin April 1st and it can go all the way through January 15th. Is the board comfortable with that whole length of time? I don't see us as a destination, like a travel destination that is busy through Labor Day and then see significant drop off. In fact, I would imagine that kind of with fall ball and soccer and everything, that fall is as busy of a time potentially as some of the other months. But I don't know.
Well, to me, it's, okay, so it is a seasonal type of thing. And, okay, so you've got, athletic fields all around there, and that's, probably maybe a bit of a concern. I'm not really sure that, we would find ourselves looking at any, type of situations regarding that right now, but again, I think it's something we should be considered too.
I mean, I coach in the Little League, and I know, as far as you mean people drinking at the games and stuff, they're pretty strict. They're pretty strict at the games. If they see you with an open
Good.
container, they'll,
Okay,
I've never seen that as a problem.
Leah, might I make a suggestion? What if we ended the term on December 31st, just to make it a clean cut? So then that way, when I do license renewals, I can just have the businesses that have both types of licenses just renew them at the same time, and then we start fresh on January 1. So then there isn't any confusion or overlap into a new calendar year, and then the fees will be consistent as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 15-day kind
that's
of.
totally fine,
That
yeah.
gets you
Shortage.
through the
That way it makes
holidays
it
and.
easier,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
just that way all
Yeah,
the
we-
work is combined into one.
Yep, and you can still offer through the holiday season and.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how other communities, handle it, but I don't see in my head, I don't see a definitive, like, it makes sense to stop at Labor Day, because like I said, we're not a vacation community where
We are
people.
steady business, regularly, like week to week, months to months, people come in regularly. So it's just, they don't have to go other place to get their spirits,
Right.
It's just now they're getting beer, wine here, or groceries, now they can just pick up what they need,
Yep. Yeah, and so then I would think we would be looking kind of at, what is that, 8-month-ish license, that's a seasonal license. So then I guess the next question is kind of how to structure that fee. And looking at, package store that's beer and wine for a full year is $750. For a package store that's all alcohol is $1,000, for a full year. I don't know where the board is kind of, again, I don't view the licenses as a way to make significant money for the towns, but it's enough, we wanna make sure that we're covering any expenses that we have as far as postings for meetings, and the time administrative staff spends with submitting the appropriate paperwork and everything.
I mean, just figure out what the other liquor stores pay for their licenses and then calculate the amount of time they're gonna have it, right? I mean,
Yeah, so
isn't that-
I would recommend going off of the 6-month side and then maybe finding a middle point between what a full liquor store pays and just the beer and wine. So, what is it for the half year for
So the
each?
package store for wine and malt is $375 for 6 months and $500 for all alcohol. That's for 6 months.
So what if you did 400, right in the middle?
Yeah, I was thinking, I think that that's about where I was thinking, somewhere in the 4 to 450 range. Just that puts it kind of in that prorated dollar amount. They're not, I mean, I think this is where we need to be cognizant though, is that this could be somebody wants to come in and do an entire half side of a building as a seasonal liquor store, right? That would be much more full service. So I'm not trying to think exactly of what
Yeah,
you wanna
so
do,
the-
like,
As far I know, the seasonal liquor works the way if you have existing business and you just wants to add with the beer wine, if you like to add this option, that's how the states approves it.
Yep.
So it can help your revenue plus,
I mean, I suppose I would say at that point, it wouldn't have any bearing on the town, so to speak, as to how they set their liquor up, whether it was on premise or off premise. I think also it's probably important to bear in mind that they are still carrying that I shouldn't say 100%, but most establishments that have a seasonal liquor license, I think in the Rutland area, likely also carry a full liquor, a retail license, for something else. Bearing in mind that they're also paying a fee for that, because like you said, we're not really a destination where we have seasonal restaurants where
Right.
people are coming in. So I just would hate to see it be detrimental to the purpose of why folks are applying for the license, if that makes sense, cost
I mean,
prohibitive.
and this is just another point then, if we look at, and this is a long conversation, and I appreciate everyone kind of as we work it out. If we look at the full year license for an all alcohol package store is $1,000. For a package store with wine and malt is $750. So if we were to say that it's $750 plus an additional $400 for a seasonal, that's still pushing anyone up over that $1,000 for what a full package store would get for the entire.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
So do we say,
Let me, if I may. So we charge $200 for a liquor license transfer.
Yeah.
It's the exact same process that we would go through.
Yeah.
For this as we would for a liquor license transfer. And so at the time, the board deemed that appropriate to cover any costs associated with that process. So I don't know if that, is too low, but just something to bear in mind.
yeah, because if we said 200 for, that's the full year, $200, then that would still put it at $950, which is not quite the $1,000 for a full year. There is some additional, it's an additional piece of paperwork that needs to be done on the town side.
So I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but if you just basically double that amount, make it 400, that would cover all the town cost and, that way 750 plus 400, which is 1150. And now, it gives us an option to be a seasonal liquor license holder, so we wouldn't mind, and I would say other businesses wouldn't mind too if it helps their sales,
I just think what Leah was saying is we hate to see a business pay more than the $1,000, because if you were to right now apply for your full retail everything, it would be $1,000 for the whole year. So we hate to see you pay more than that for a seasonal, in which case you would pay less to get a full license. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that's why we're trying to see if we can get it lower than that,
Yeah.
right, Leah?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was coming from,
Yeah.
but it's good feedback to hear as the applicant here before us right now, kind of where they're thinking. Also, obviously, again, it's not, we're not trying to do this specifically for,
So the way I'm looking at it, so with the extra $400 in the license, if we can get additional $1,000 to $2,000 sales a month, that would, offset the cost for the licenses and will be still,
solvent and,
so, yeah.
So we wouldn't mind, whatever.
so, I mean, I think I was in the I was originally kind of in the 400, then I was going down to maybe the 200, just so that we weren't hitting the 1,000 for a full out, but it is an additional step, so I don't know how the board in the $200 to $400 range.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. No, I'm looking at, what you're talking about and saying, yeah, okay, to me, that's reasonable, okay? And so, I would feel comfortable going that way, but, I don't know, Tom's got.
Yeah, guys, I'm comfortable. Let them make some money, you know?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
What about meeting in the middle at 300?
that's what I was gonna
So-
say, is that way, and then, I mean, the fee structure, I know we do try to periodically review just to ensure that we're not being cost prohibitive to the in these cases, that we're meeting all of our expenses, but we're also not being cost prohibitive to the businesses. And in other fee schedules, that we're making sure that we're justifying the expenses that we have, so it sounds like the board is amenable to it. I think we've worked out what we need. It would be ideally in April 1st through December 31st. Sounds like $300 would be the licensing fee. And then we will work on the timeline to get the public hearing and everything posted, and
Leah, would the board mind just making a motion to set that fee?
Go ahead, read it.
I would accept a motion to work, should I do the seasonal liquor license?
Yeah, to offer.
I would entertain a motion to offer seasonal liquor licenses from April 1st through December 31st of the calendar year, with a fee, with a licensing fee of $300.
So moved.
second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other conversation? Roll call.
Matt's and I.
Galvin, I.
Whitman, aye. Thank you guys for coming in and
Like to thank you, the committee, and also the community, for accepting us in the community and, keep supporting us,
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
I hope
thank-
business picks up, guys.
I know.
It will.
yeah.
Keep wearing those hats, you're gonna do fine.
And we'll try our best to serve the community.
And we'll get the process going.
Okay,
Okay.
I'd like to especially thank Tamika for her time.
yes.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you so
welcome.
much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No,
You
and
got
thank you
it.
guys for bringing it to our attention, because again, it's not something that we have proactively been looking for, and so I think that I personally really want to be able to work with the business owners, and so having this opportunity, I appreciate you bringing it in and having the conversation with where it stands on your side and amenable to our conversation, so thank you.
Yeah, it was new to us when we first got it at the other business, And the way it works is like it doesn't interfere with the existing full line liquor stores, because it's just a different license for seasonal, and it's just now we can create another category, with the beer and wine. So
Good luck, guys.
thank you so
much.
Thank you, good
Appreciate
luck.
it. Thank you.
And thank you, Tamika, for
Thank
everything,
you.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for bearing with us for that conversation. Moving into, we have the events committee. I think we have a letter from the events committee, asking us to, consider their charge regarding the length of terms. I think when this committee was originally formed, they were just 1-year terms to be reappointed yearly, and now kind of after being through a year or 2 years.
It'll be a year in March.
Yeah, I thought it was a year. Iteration and seeing how the committee is working, having some known continuity and everything, I think the committee feels is beneficial. They wrote us a letter, they proposed setting terms so that they have alternating expirations, and they amongst themselves designated who would serve for what length of terms. So there would be 2 that would expire in June of 2025, 2 that would expire in June of 2026, and 3 that would expire in June of 2027. And then that would just create it's a 7-member committee, and that would just then create that rotation of the 3-year terms that are staggered.
And Leah, if I may just note, so currently they have 8 members serving, but there is one member that has verbally indicated her intent to resign, and we're just waiting on confirmation with the town clerk. So the committee at their last meeting decided that they would like to remain a 7-member board, so that they're an odd number, so they're not going to be putting out for interest in another member right now.
And I think that makes sense. I appreciate the committee kind of taking that initiative, because I know that was one of the things as we've been working through. One of the other things is we've been working through committee charges and terms and everything, so they kind of proactively did that for us, so.
You need a motion for this?
Yeah.
I could just say as written, right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the events committee proposed term limits. As written.
Motion is there a
Second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any conversation?
I was just gonna say, I would like to compliment the events committee on everything that they put together so far and all that's been done since their inception, and, you know, when they took over from the 300th committee, they did quite a good job, I think, of getting concerts in line and all the other events that they put on as well.
Great job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me if I may, when do the new terms start? Because that's not specified in the motion.
They're existing.
Because you need to assign who gets each term.
Yeah, they did in the memo.
It's, I think
Want me to call the names off?
it was just as presented and it's in the memo.
Okay, I haven't seen the memo, I don't
Okay.
know, this is why I asked the question.
Peter, it's on the website on the select board packet if you wanna see it.
I'm sure, thank you.
I mean, we can read it out, but it's, I mean,
Okay, no,
I'll
just,
update it on the website too.
okay,
thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
thanks, Peter.
All right, so we're good?
Yep, so roll call, Paul.
That's an aye.
Galvin, aye.
Whitman, aye. Thank you. Moving into our bylaw committee, we had put out a call a little while ago with the commitment to the ad hoc bylaw committee, and the bylaws, meeting that we would seat a formal bylaw committee, which is put in our town bylaws as an actual committee. I think that was voted in originally in 2018. So we put out a request for interest. We received interest from 5 individuals. And we are looking to seat that 5-member board tonight, with the staggered length of terms, I think, right, Tamika?
Yes, you guys had voted at a prior meeting, the length of the term of each member.
So we have a packet, we have Barbara Rashala, Gary Circosta, did I pronounce it correctly? Sorry.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Lynn Turcott, who had served on the ad hoc bylaw committee, and Kumara
Countdown.
Gavardan,
Yep, that's right, there you go.
and Michael Pantos Jr. And those were the 5 individuals who had reached out. I think they provide a wide variety of experience and interests, and I appreciate everyone kind of making that commitment. My hope is now that the bulk of that work is hopefully done with the AG's, pending the AG's approval. There'll be a little bit of overlap with the ad hoc bylaw committee if there's any questions or things that need to be tied up, and then the work can be continued on with your group as the bylaw states, and as the need arises. So so I would take a motion to seat the entirety, or if anyone has specific feelings or concerns.
So move to the motion.
We have a motion to seat the entire 5 members as presented.
I will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Tamika, am I covering all the bases? Sorry.
Should we mention that for staggered 3-year terms?
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, we definitely need to do the staggered 3-year terms. Do we feel strongly as a board that we are going to fill them just based on first in, first out? Or are we going to allow the committee to get together and kind of see where they would prefer, and then we can set the terms, or?
Yeah, they should work that out, right? I mean, it's not,
Yeah, I think we should hear them out, yeah.
Yeah, cause if that's okay, then
Absolutely, so what I'll do is I'll just send out like an introductory email and I'll let them know how many folks for how many years that you guys determined, and then they can decide amongst themselves who would like to serve for which term.
and then we can
And then we can make,
ratify it.
yep, you guys can ratify it, we'll update it on the board, we'll let the clerk's office know.
if that works. That way, I know it's a new committee and we have some new members, new involved members, so I don't want it to seem like it's a lot, and it gives everybody a time to kind of come together and figure out if that works.
Okay.
Right, amenable to all of that? So we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mattson, aye.
Galvin, I.
Whitman, aye. Thank you all, I appreciate it. Did you wanna say anything? I didn't provide the opportunity, I'm sorry. Thanks for coming out and waiting for us for over an hour, I appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
So, quick question.
When are we supposed to start?
That might have been all
Stole
our
my
questions.
So Tamika will get together,
Sworn in first.
yeah, you'll have to get sworn in at the town clerk's office. And then Tamika will put out a call, and maybe either the town clerk or town administrator as the ex officio members can kind of try to corral that first meeting with you. I know Lynn is currently serving on the ad hoc bylaw committee, so she's a good bridge between the two. I do envision that your committee and the ad hoc bylaw committee will continue to work kind of closely for the next 6 months or so until we get the feedback from the AG. And then the ad hoc committee will officially be dissolved, and it'll officially be all of you. But I see that more of a transition now into your hands. But maybe we can ask the town administrator, town clerk to kind of oversee at least that initial meeting.
I'll get you guys going. Is there a certain day of the week that works great or works horribly for you guys, as far as maybe kind of choosing a day of the week that is best for everybody, so you know when you schedule, you know?
Well, I'm not crazy about Wednesdays.
I'm always available.
You're available. Kamara, I know you have school committee commitments.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tuesdays might work better.
Tuesdays would be best for you. How do you feel about Tuesdays?
Tuesdays are good.
Alright. And Gary, he's good with Sunday? Is that good for you? No, I'm kidding. Okay, so
Sure,
that's
what
good to know.
time?
That's good to know, okay. But don't worry, we'll help you out. We'll get you guys going.
And I think that initial meeting will be helpful just to kind of get you guys set up as a committee. And then the town administrator and town clerks are ex officio members, so as the kind of bylaw specified meetings are occurring, I would imagine there's involvement or input from them. But if there's additional work that needs to be done in between those, then they'll definitely be available as references, but I'm not sure how much they'll actually be. So you'll have a lot of latitude in what works, as long as it gets posted within 48 business hours.
Yep.
So,
I can help with that too.
so our office is great to help out. Tamika is the kind of first line to answer the questions. But Austin and Anita in the town clerk's office are great also. So, any other
Okay.
questions?
No, I'm comfortable, ready to go.
Thank you so much for coming out and for your interest and willingness and time to put into this, because I hope it's not a huge time investment on your part, but I think it's very important time on your part, and so I don't wanna minimize it at all.
I think it's gonna be a big investment. I have some friends in other Massachusetts communities, and I threw this out to them. And it seems as though all communities' bylaws go back to the Civil War days. And so I started to look at ours. So I think we have a good challenge.
Yeah.
And I think we can really make a good contribution.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I don't
you.
usually say much, so I won't be a pain in the butt to the community.
No, and so thank you, I appreciate it, and like I said, stop in the town clerk's office during business hours to get sworn in, and then
Just
Just
not
not
tomorrow.
yeah, not tomorrow, not during election day. But, so, thank you, and we're
Thank you.
here, all of us are here if you have questions, but the office and really the town administrator and town clerk are probably gonna become your good friends. So thank you.
So thank you for having us. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
Good night.
Moving into the town administrator annual review process. Hard to believe, but Austin has been with us for almost a year.
That's crazy.
And so we, by contract, need to review him annually. We've kind of done quarterly check-ins. He provides us, at least monthly updates, kind of as far as where staffing and finances are standing. And I view those kind of as an opportunity for anyone that has major concerns to bring them up at that point. For the annual review process though, I kind of envision it as Ally, working very closely with Ally, our HR coordinator. We have an HR coordinator, so trying to follow a similar process to what we are expecting department heads and staff to follow. The change there is that we five are the department head instead of a single department head. So there is a town administrator, we'll send out, Ally and I will send out a town administrator kind of review form. We are working with a few different options, kind of provided by the MMA, some other communities, best practice. So hopefully within the next week or so, probably Ally will disseminate that all to all five of us. We'll provide the town administrator opportunity to provide feedback, almost a self-evaluation and feedback to us. I'm looking towards the end of April, the second half of April, of holding the actual review. That gives us as a 5-member board time to do a thoughtful review, as well as provide Austin time to do self-review and everything. I anticipate asking us to send everything to Ally, our HR coordinator. She will collate it. In the past, it had gone to the chair. I'm happy to do it, but I think we have an HR coordinator, and to kind of take some of the maybe some of the political pressure or political skews of things out, send it to the HR coordinator, we have the staff, utilize the staff. Then Ally can collate it. We will still have access to everybody, to our individual reviews. I think in the past, it's been a little tough. We've done the review fully in open session, and I think sometimes that creates a challenge to have, I don't wanna say frank or candid conversations, cause I think in the past we have had those. But I think sometimes it's a challenge if the public, or especially staff or other staff within the community or within the town pick up on anything that then still has to have a working relationship with the chief of staff. And so I am proposing that the initial portion of the review would be done in executive session. And then we would return to open session to kind of have a general recap synopsis, very briefly of things. Per the current town administrator contract, and this current budget iteration that we have, the town administrator did not put any sort of raise in for the town administrator, salary line item. It's the only staff position that did not even receive a COLA. I think the town administrator feels strongly that it should be based on a performance review, as well as what other staff is getting in town. The contract was not such that it was a guaranteed increase year over year or anything like that. So I just wanted to call that out. I would like to be able to have a conversation in tandem with the review process as to what an appropriate salary increase would look like for that line item. So I don't know if there's three of us here tonight, that's what Ally and I kind of have worked through, trying to, again, streamline best practices, and how we see the process working, not only from select board town administrator, but then town administrator, department heads, and staff and department heads and everything. So we're really trying to do it that way.
Right. I agree that, we need to look at this, I think, probably a little bit categorically in the fact that, okay, the town administrator works with the select board, the town administrator works with the department heads. So, these are a couple of different areas that the town administrator is responsible for, and how do we feel that, these have been handled? Could have they been handled somewhat differently? Some things happened that maybe shouldn't have happened, or did happen, or didn't happen and should have happened, or whatever. So I mean, there's varying opinions around on it, and so I think it would be a good idea to promote what we've thought, what we have seen, what we've been made aware of, what people have told us. So yeah, I think we all have had some communication with everybody else in town. So I think that there's probably a reasonable amount of information that we've gathered about, how things have gone and what could have changed and what could have been done differently and or better. Or in some cases, completely reworked. So in other words, yeah, there's room there.
So
If you're Karen Norwald, Palmagussit Road. If you're planning on doing this the second half of April, at that point, you're butting up against a town meeting, and then any increase wouldn't be included in the budget.
yeah, and that's definitely a consideration. I mean, I brought that up at the budget meeting, that just as an FYI, that's the only salary line item that has not been included, and so that's why there's only three of us here tonight.
The proposed budget, it's not,
Correct,
it's just proposed at this
No,
point.
no, but yes, the current budget iteration, the proposed budget that's the only salary line item. And so there's only three of us here tonight, but to get a sense as to what that would look like to guide the budget process coming up to town meeting, for sure. It's definitely on the,
If you guys, I know we are meeting with, I think we're supposed to have our meeting, the 11th? So if maybe we could get some sort of an idea from you folks where you want, so that we could start discussing that as part of our budget discussions.
it's tough because there's two of us that
I
are.
understand that, but it's also tough that if we keep pushing and pushing and pushing, we're gonna butt up against the town meeting, and there was discussion about having informational sessions.
Yep.
Can't have informational sessions if it's not final.
No, I 100% hear and appreciate, and it's something that's definitely on our radar, and so I'm trying to be mindful as providing our board enough time to do the review, a thoughtful and comprehensive review, as well as staff to do that self-evaluation and review and everything. So yeah, it's there. I know.
I think we can still compile our thoughts and keep this as a documentation. In other words, and let things follow the course that they should be following, So in other words, we've got a proposal, we've got work to do to get ready for a town meeting, and I think that should be primary thing, and looking at review and this sort of thing should be something that falls into a category of its own.
Except I think what the limited conversation at the budget meeting, I think, was that we hadn't had we as a board have not had the conversation as far as any sort of salary increase to that line item, and it should be pending a review, which I think was a couple comments that were made, and so we have to time that. and in the past, the contracts have been such that they weren't pending reviews, they were negotiated in increases, so
I'm just pointing out the fact that it's going to
the
leave
dates,
a
I
hole.
know, I know,
It's going to leave a hole, so.
I know, the dates.
Then you gotta figure out, if you're gonna wait till the second half of April, you gotta figure out a funding source, because the budget's not gonna be, it's gonna have to be finalized before then, cause I think Austin discussed going the last couple of weeks before town meeting, so you're butting right up against it, so.
I think it should be ongoing in that respect, you know, that we should just still pursue that path.
So,
There's no money in the budget.
No, going towards the town meeting, putting budget together and going through all this in the normal step of procedure. We don't have to, be worrying about, review as well.
I hear you, and I've been trying to look at the dates as far as how early we can get it and still feel adequate that we're able to provide.
I mean, in the past, we've done different things for different unions that just have been
Right,
there, and we might not have given it,
Right.
you know, that
Right.
kind of thing, so
Right.
I would assume we could easily do about the same kind of thing and
that's what I was
clue.
hoping for, and so
I mean, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to give it, it just
Right.
means that it's in the budget
Right.
and then we,
it's budgeted and.
because otherwise we gotta figure out a funding source. That would be the only thing, if you wait to the end of April, we're waiting for, you know, at that point. I mean, you can tell Austin he can redo it the week before the town meeting, I just don't think that's a really good idea.
No, and I hear, for sure.
That's all.
Thank you, Karen. So we have, we're going to hold the stormwater budget conversation, Austin, I think, right? And, then we have an approval of the Hubbardston Public Safety Tower easement agreement. Austin, do you have-
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a document that was provided, I've been working with the town administrator for the town of Hubbardston over the past several months. As the board is aware, the Hubbardston project is complete. However, after working through the next steps of developing an RFP for cellular service for the tower, KP Law realized that neither town has an easement agreement, so technically we don't have the legal right to have built the tower that we built. And there's a couple of reasons why. I think there was transitions, especially on the town of Rutland side, but there was transition in town administrator, select board, finance. And then a pandemic happened. So this document was never agreed upon nor recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So this is an access agreement, essentially again allowing us to have built the tower, access the tower. It's a standard easement agreement. Some of the things that are usually standard in an easement agreement, like paying fees for permits, or termination language, or if the project is not complete, we remove that language because that's moot at this point, the tower is operational. So this is just a simple agreement. This is on the select board agenda in Hubbardston tonight as well. They'll be reviewing and hopefully approving this as well. But this is just kind of make sure that we cross our Ts and dot our Is. And it will be the responsibility of the town of Hubbardston to record this once executed by both parties.
When is the cellular supposed to be done?
Well, so we can't do that until
Until this?
this
Okay.
is recorded.
Cause it's still a nightmare.
Yeah. And there's a whole process for that too
Yeah,
that
I'm
we gotta
sure,
follow.
I'm sure. It'd be nice when it's done though.
Absolutely. On another note, the tower has been running great. It's been running at about 20 to 30% of its actual power. With the new equipment that will be installed, so 20 to 30% of its actual power, and the service has been tremendous for the town of
Police and
Hubbardston
fire and everything.
and surrounding communities. Yeah, it's been great. They could tell on day one that the radio coverage was excellent. So with the new equipment that's being installed this month, it'll even boost the power even more so, and provide better service for all of our communities.
That's awesome. So this is just essentially saying that we had the right to do the work
Yeah.
that we did on behalf
So
of.
weird that this would happen.
Paul, do you have any questions or concerns
No.
or anything?
No, I'm familiar with the whole shooting match as a whole, so in other words, fine. I'm good with the document as I've read it, and I understand, the equipment involved and the other things that are part of it too, so yeah.
So if I don't hear any other questions or concerns or anything, I would entertain a motion to approve the Hubbardston Public Safety Tower easement agreement as presented.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second motion.
Any other conversation? Hearing none, roll call, Paul?
Mattson, aye.
Galvin, I.
Whitman, aye. We have some future meetings coming up. I think FinCom is posted for Monday the 11th, or will be.
Yeah.
Not yet.
I'm just waiting for confirmation from the chair.
Okay. And then, we have the CPA meeting open to the public as well as boards and commissions on this Friday, or this Thursday, at 6 p.m. here. Our future meetings, March 14th is a budget meeting with Wachusett, the regional schools, Wachusett and Bay Path. That's posted with us and FinCom. I think it's generally a FinCom meeting, but we're usually in attendance.
And that's here.
That's here in the I think it'll be in the big room.
Yes.
March 18th is a regular scheduled meeting, April 1st is a regular scheduled meeting. And then I would entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session for reason number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, discussion of disposition plan for 232 Main Street, the Franklin T. Wood House, not to return to open session and to adjourn from executive session.
So moved.
Second motion.
Motion and second, roll call.
Mattson, aye.
Galvin, I.
Whitman, aye. Thank you. We are 7:29.